Hi, I'm back with Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, chapter 6, and we're only going to probably be able to read the first part of chapter 6, but before you know it with part 2. All right, here's your one itty bitty tiny picture. You see the picture? JK Rowling is the author, and the lady with the French name is the illustrator of this edition. My gosh, why can't I not? Grand Pierre is her last name, or Grand Prix. Mary Grand Prix. Okay, I think I'm saying that wrong. Alrighty, so let's go. Where are my glasses? They're right here. All right, the journey from platform 9 3/4. Have you ever been there? I've been to King's Cross, but I've never been to platform 9 3/4, and I know it's there, or at least there's a sign for it there. So next time you're in London, you should go look for it and take your picture and send it to me. Harry's last month with the Dursleys was not fun. True, Dudley was now so scared of Harry he wouldn't stay in the same room, while Aunt Petunia and Uncle Vernon didn't shut Harry in his cupboard, force him to do anything, or shout at him. In fact, they didn't speak to him at all. Half terrified, half furious, they acted as though any chair with Harry in it were empty. Although this was an improvement in many ways, it did become a bit depressing after a while. Harry kept to his room with his new owl for company. He had decided to call her Hedwig, a name he found in a history of magic. His school books were very interesting. He lay on his bed reading late into the night, Hedwig swooping in and out of the open window as she pleased. It was lucky that Aunt Petunia didn't come to vacuum anymore, because Hedwig kept bringing back dead mice. Every night before he went to sleep, Harry ticked off another day on a piece of paper he had pinned to the wall, counting down until September 1st. On the last day of August, he thought he'd better speak to his aunt and uncle about getting to King's Cross Station the next day. So he went down to the living room where they were watching a quiz show on TV. He cleared his throat to let them know he was there, and Dudley screamed and ran from the room. Uncle Vernon? Uncle Vernon grunted to show he was listening. I need to be at King's Cross tomorrow to go to Hogwarts. Uncle Vernon grunted again. Would it be all right if you gave me a lift? Asked Harry. Grunt. Harry supposed that meant yes. Thank you, he said. He was about to go back upstairs when Uncle Vernon actually spoke. Funny way to get to wizard school. The train. Magic carpets all got punctures, have they? Harry didn't say anything. Where is this school anyway? I don't know, said Harry, realizing for the first time. He pulled the ticket Hagrid had given him out of his pocket. I just take the train from platform 9 3/4 at 11 o'clock, he said. His aunt and uncle stared. Platform what? 9 3/4. Don't talk rubbish, said Uncle Vernon. There is no platform 9 3/4. It's on my ticket. Barking, said Uncle Vernon. Howling mad, the lot of them. You'll see. You just wait. All right, we'll take you to King's Cross. We're going up to London tomorrow anyway, and I wouldn't bother. Why are you going to London? Harry asked, trying to keep things friendly. Taking Dudley to the hospital, growled Uncle Vernon. Got to have that ruddy tail removed before he goes to smeltings. Harry awoke at 5 a.m. the next morning and was too excited and nervous to go back to sleep. He got up, pulled on his jeans because he didn't want to walk to the station in a wizard's robe. He'd change on the train. He checked his Hogwarts list yet again to make sure he had everything he needed, saw that Hedwig was safely shut in her cage, and then paced the room, waiting for the Dursleys to get up. 2 hours later, Harry's huge, heavy trunk had been loaded into the Dursleys' car. Aunt Petunia had talked Dudley into sitting next to Harry, and they set off. They reached King's Cross at 10:30. Uncle Vernon dumped Harry's trunk onto a cart and wheeled it to the station for him. Harry thought that was strangely kind until Uncle Vernon stopped dead, facing the platforms with a nasty grin on his face. There you are, my boy. Platform 9, platform 10. Your platform should be somewhere in the middle. They don't seem to have built it yet, have they? He was quite right, of course. There was a big plastic number 9 over one platform and a big plastic number 10 over the other one next to it. But in the middle, there was nothing at all. Have a good term, said Uncle Vernon with an even nastier smile. He left without another word. Harry turned and saw the Dursleys drive away. All three of them were laughing. Harry's mouth went dry. What on earth was he going to do? He started to attract a lot of funny looks because of Hedwig. He'd have to ask someone. He stopped a passing guard, but didn't dare mention platform 9 3/4. The guard had never heard of Hogwarts, and when Harry couldn't even tell him what part of the country it was in, he started to get annoyed. So he thought Harry was being stupid on purpose. Getting desperate, Harry asked for the train that left at 11 o'clock, but the guard said there wasn't one. In the end, the guard strode away, muttering something about time wasters. Harry was now trying not to panic. According to the large clock over the arrivals board, he had 10 minutes left to get on the train to Hogwarts, and he had no idea how to do it. He was stranded in the middle of a station with a trunk he could hardly lift, a pocket full of wizard money, and a large owl. Hagrid must have forgotten to tell him something you had to do, like tapping the third brick on the left to get into Diagon Alley. He wondered if he should get out his wand and start tapping the ticket inspector stand between platforms 9 and 10. At that moment, a group of people passed just behind him, and he caught a few words they were saying. Packed with muggles, of course. Harry swung around. The speaker was a plump woman who was talking to 4 boys, all with flaming red hair. Each of them was pushing a trunk like Harry's in front of him, and they had an owl. Heart hammering, Harry pushed his cart after them. They stopped, and so did he, just near enough to hear what they were saying. Now, where's the platform number? Asked the boy's mother. 9, or what's the platform number? Asked the boy's mother. 9 3/4, piped a small girl, also red-headed, who was holding her hand. Mom, can't I go? You're not old enough, Ginny. Now just be quiet. All right, Percy, you go first. What looked like the oldest boy marched toward platforms 9 and 10. Harry watched, careful not to blink in case he missed it. But just as the boy reached the dividing barrier between the 2 platforms, a large crowd of tourists came swarming in front of him, and by the time the last backpack had cleared away, the boy had vanished. Fred, you're up next, said the plump woman. Not Fred, I'm George, said the boy. Honestly, woman, you call yourself a mother. Can't you tell I'm George? Oh, sorry, George. Ha! Only joking, said the boy. I am Fred. And off he went. His twin called after him to hurry up. And he must have done so because a second later he was gone. How did he do it? Now the third brother was walking briskly toward the barrier. He was almost there, and then quite suddenly he wasn't anywhere. There was nothing else for it. Excuse me, said Harry to the plump woman. Hello, dear, she said. First time at Hogwarts? Ron's new, too. She pointed to the last and youngest of her sons. He was tall, thin, and gangling, with freckles, big hands and feet, and a long nose. Yes, said Harry. The thing is, I don't know how to get on the platform, she said kindly, and Harry nodded. Not to worry. All you have to do is walk straight at the barrier between platforms 9 and 10. Don't stop and don't be scared or you'll crash into it. That's very important. Best do it at a bit of a run if you're nervous. Go on now, right before Ron. Okay, said Harry. He pushed his trolley around and stared at the barrier. It looked very solid. He started to walk toward it. People jostled him on their way to platforms 9 and 10. Harry walked more quickly. He was going to smash right into the barrier and then he'd be in trouble. Leaning forward on his cart, he broke into a heavy run. The barrier was coming nearer and nearer. He wouldn't be able to stop. The cart was out of control. He was a foot away. He closed his eyes, ready for a crash. But it didn't come. He kept on running. He opened his eyes. A scarlet steam engine was waiting on the platform, packed with people. A sign overhead said the Hogwarts Express, 11 o'clock. Harry looked behind him and saw a wrought iron archway where the barrier had been and the words platform 9 3/4 on it. He had done it! Smoke from the engine drifted over the heads of the chattering crowd, while cats of every color wound here and there between their legs. Owls hooted to one another in a disgruntled sort of way over the babble and scraping of heavy trunks. The first few carriages were already packed with students, some hanging out the windows, talking to their families, some fighting over seats. Harry pushed his cart down the platform in search of an empty seat. He passed a round-faced boy who was saying, "Gran, I've lost my toad again." "Oh, Neville," he heard the old woman sigh. A boy with dreadlocks was surrounded by a small crowd. "Give us a look, Lee. Go on." The boy lifted the lid on the box in his arms, and the people all around him shrieked and yelled as something inside poked out a long, hairy leg. Harry pressed on through the crowd until he found an empty compartment near the end of the train. He put Hedwig inside first and started to shove and heave his trunk toward the train door. He tried to lift it up the steps, but could hardly raise one end, and twice he dropped it painfully on his foot. "Want a hand?" It was one of the red-haired twins he had followed through the barrier. "Yes, please," Harry panted. "Oi, Fred, come here, help." With the twins' help, Harry's trunk was at last tucked away in the corner of the compartment. "Thanks," said Harry, pushing the hair out of his eyes. "What's that?" said one of the twins suddenly, pointing at Harry's lightning scar. "Blimey," said the other twin. "Are you?" "He is," said the first twin. "Aren't you?" he added to Harry. "What?" said Harry. "Harry Potter," chorused the twin. "Oh, him," said Harry. Yeah, yes, I am." The two boys gawked at him, and Harry felt himself turning red. Then, to his relief, a voice came floating through the train's open door. "Fred! George! Are you there?" "Coming, Mom." With a last look at Harry, the twins hopped off the train. Harry sat down next to the window where, half hidden, he could watch the red hair family on the platform and hear what they were saying. Their mother had just taken out her handkerchief. "Ron, you've got something on your nose." The youngest boy tried to jerk out of the way, but she grabbed him and began rubbing the end of his nose. "Mom!" He wriggled free. "Ah! Has Ickle Ronnie got something on his nose?" said one of the twins. "Shut up," said Ron. "Where's Percy?" said their mother. "He's coming now." The oldest boy striding into sight. He had already changed into his billowing black Hogwarts robes, and Harry noticed a shiny silver badge on his chest with the letter P on it. "Can't stay long, Mother," he said. "I'm up front. The prefects have 2 compartments to themselves." "Oh, are you a prefect, Percy?" said one of the twins, with an air of great surprise. "You should have said something. We had no idea." "Hang on, I think I remember him saying something about it," said the other twin. "Once or twice. A minute. All summer." "Oh, shut up," said Percy the prefect. "How come Percy gets new robes anyway?" said one of the twins. "Because he's a prefect," said his mother fondly. "All right, dear. Well, have a good term and send me an owl when you get there." She kissed Percy on the cheek and he left. She turned to the twins. "Now, you two, this year you behave yourselves. If I get one more owl telling me you've blown up a toilet or..." "Ooh, blown up a toilet? We've never blown up a toilet." "Great idea, Mom. Thanks." "It is not funny." I want you to look after Ron. Don't worry, Uncle Rodnikins is safe with us. Shut up, said Ron again. He was almost as tall as the twins already, and his nose was still pink where his mom had rubbed it. Hey, Mom, guess what? Guess who we met on the train? Harry leaned back quickly so they couldn't see him looking. You know that black-haired boy who was near us at the station? Know who he is? Who? Said their mom. Harry Potter! Harry heard the little girl's voice. Oh, Mom, can I go on the train and see him? Oh, Mom, oh, please. You've already seen him, Ginny, and the poor boy isn't something you goggle at the zoo. Is he really, Fred? How do you know? Asked him. Saw the scar. It's really there, like lightning. Poor dear. No wonder he was all alone. I wondered. He was so polite when he asked how to get on the platform. Never mind that. Do you think he remembers what you know who looks like? Their mother suddenly became very stern. I forbid you to ask him, Fred. Don't you dare, as though he needed reminding of that on his first day at school. All right, keep your hair on. A whistle sounded. Hurry up, said their mother, and the three boys clambered onto the train. They leaned out the window for her to kiss them goodbye, and their younger sister began to cry. Don't, Ginny. We'll send you lots and lots of owls. We'll send you a Hogwarts toilet seat. George! Only joking, Mom. The train began to move. Harry saw the boys' mother waving and their sister half laughing, half crying, running to keep up with the train until it gathered too much speed. Then she fell back and waved. Harry watched the girl and her mother disappear as the train rounded the corner. Houses flashed past the window. Harry felt a great leap of excitement. He didn't know where he was going, but it had to be better than what he was leaving behind. The door of the compartment slid open, and the youngest red-headed boy came in. Anyone sitting there? He pointed to the seat opposite Harry. Everywhere else is full. Harry shook his head, and the boy sat down. He glanced at Harry and then looked quickly out the window, pretending he hadn't looked. Harry saw he still had a black mark on his nose. Hey, Ron. The twins were back. Listen, we're going down to the middle of the train. Lee Jordan's got a giant tarantula down there. Right, mumbled Ron. Harry, said the other twin, did we introduce ourselves? We're Fred and George Weasley. And this is Ron, our brother. See you later, then. Bye, said Harry and Ron. The twins slid the compartment door shut. Are you really Harry Potter? Ron blurted out. Harry nodded. Oh, well, I thought it might be one of Fred and George's jokes. And have you really got, he pointed to Harry's forehead. Harry pulled back his bangs to show the lightning scar. Ron stared. So that's where you know who. Yes, said Harry, but I can't remember it. Nothing, said Ron eagerly. Well, I remember a lot of green light, but nothing else. Wow, said Ron. He sat and stared at Harry for a few moments. And then, as though he suddenly realized what he was doing, he looked quickly out the window again. Are all your family wizards? Asked Harry, who found Ron just as interesting as Ron found him. Yeah, I think so, said Ron. I think Mom's got a second cousin who's an accountant, but we'd never talk about him. So you must know loads of magic already. The Weasleys were clearly one of those old wizarding families the pale boy at Diagon Alley had talked about. I heard you went to live with the Muggles, said Ron. What are they like? Horrible, said Harry. Well, not most of them. My aunt and uncle and cousin are, though. Wish I had 3 wizard brothers. 5, said Ron. For some reason, he was looking gloomy. I'm the 6th in our family to go to Hogwarts. You could say I've got a lot to live up to. Bill and Charlie have already left. Bill was head boy, and Charlie was captain of Quidditch. Now Percy's a prefect. Fred and George mess around a lot, but they still get really good marks, and everybody thinks they're really funny. Everyone expects me to do as well as the others, but if I do, it's no big deal because they did it first. You never get anything new either with 5 brothers. I've got Bill's old robes, Charlie's old wand, and Percy's old rat. Ron reached inside his jacket and pulled out a fat gray rat, which was asleep. His name is Scabbers, and he's useless. He hardly ever wakes up. Percy got an owl for my dad for being made prefect, and they couldn't afford. I got Scabbers. Ron's ears went pink. He seemed to think he had said too much because he went back to staring out the window. Harry didn't think there was anything wrong with not being able to afford an owl. After all, he had never had money in his whole life until a month ago, and he told Ron so. All about having to wear Dudley's old clothes and never getting proper birthday presents. This seemed to cheer Ron up. Well, until Hagrid told me, I didn't know anything about being a wizard or my parents or Voldemort. Ron gasped. What? Said Harry. You said you know whose name, said Ron, sounding both shocked and impressed. I'd have thought you of all people. I'm not trying to be brave or anything saying the name, said Harry. I just never knew you shouldn't. See what I mean? I've got loads to learn. I bet, he added, voicing for the first time something that had been worrying him a lot lately. I bet I'm the worst in the class. You won't be. There's loads of people that come from Muggle families, and they learn quick enough. While they'd been talking, the train carried them out of London. They were speeding past fields full of cows and sheep. They were quiet for a time, watching the fields and lanes flick past. About 12:30, there was a great clattering in the corridor, and a smiling, dimpled woman slid back the door and said, "Anything off the cart, dears?" Harry, who hadn't had breakfast, leapt to his feet, but Ron's ears went pink again and muttered he had brought sandwiches. Harry went out into the corridor. He had never had any money for candy with the Dursleys, and now he had pockets rattling with gold and silver. He was ready to buy as many Mars bars as he could carry, but the woman didn't have Mars bars. What she did have were Bertie Bott's every flavor beans, Drooble's best blowing gum, chocolate frogs, pumpkin pasties, cauldron cakes, licorice wands, and a number of other strange things Harry had never seen in his life. Not wanting to miss everything, he got some of everything and paid the lady 11 silver sickles and 7 bronze nuts. Ron stared at Harry as he brought it back to the compartment and tipped it onto an empty seat. Hungry, are you? Starving, said Harry, taking a large bite out of a pumpkin pasty. Ron had taken out a lumpy package and unwrapped it. There were 4 sandwiches inside. He pulled one of them apart and said, "She always forgets I don't like corned beef." "I'll swap you for one of these," said Harry, holding up a pasty. "Go on. You don't want this. It's all dry. She hasn't got much time, with 5 of us." "Go on," said Harry. "Have a pasty," who had never had anything to share before, or indeed anyone to share it with. It was a nice feeling sitting there with Ron, eating their way through all of Harry's pasties, cakes, and candies. The sandwiches lay forgotten. "What are these?" Harry asked Ron, holding up a package of chocolate frogs. "They're not really frogs, are they?" He was starting to feel that nothing would surprise him. "No," said Ron, "but see what the card is. I'm missing Agrippa." "What? Oh, of course you wouldn't know. Chocolate frogs have cards inside them, to collect famous witches and wizards. I've got about 500, but I don't have Agrippa or Ptolemy." Harry unwrapped his chocolate frog and picked up the card. It showed a man's face. He wore half-moon glasses, a long crooked nose, and flowing silver hair, beard, and mustache. Underneath the picture was the name, Albus Dumbledore. "So this is Dumbledore," said Harry. "Don't tell me you've never heard of Dumbledore," said Ron. "Can I have a frog? I might get Agrippa. Thanks." Harry turned his card over and read, "Albus Dumbledore, currently headmaster of Hogwarts. Considered by many the greatest wizard of modern times, Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the dark wizard Grindelwald in 1945, for the discovery of the 12 uses of dragon's blood, and his work on alchemy with his partner Nicholas Flamel. Professor Dumbledore enjoys chamber music and 10-pin bowling. Harry turned the card back over and, to his astonishment, saw that Dumbledore's face had disappeared. He's gone! You can't expect him to hang around all day, said Ron. He'll be back. No, I've got Morgana again, and I've got about 6 of hers. Do you want it? You can start collecting. Ron's eyes strayed to the pile of chocolate frogs waiting to be unwrapped. Help yourself, said Harry. But in, the Muggle world, people just stay put in photos. Do they? What? They don't move at all? Ron sounded amazed. Weird. Harry stared at his Dumbledore, sidled back into the picture on his card, and gave him a small smile. Ron was more interested in eating frogs than looking at famous witches and wizards. But Harry couldn't keep his eyes off of them. Soon, he not only had Dumbledore and Morgana, but Hengist of Woodcroft, Alberic Grennan, Circe, Parcelsus, and Merlin. I don't think I did very well pronouncing their names. Who was scratching her nose to open a bag of Bertie Bott's every flavor beans. Ooh, you have to be careful with those, Ron warned Harry. When they say every flavor, they mean every flavor. You get the ordinary ones like chocolate and peppermint and marmalade, but then you can get spinach and liver and tripe. George reckons there's a booger flavored one too. Ron picked up a green bean, licked it carefully, and bit into the corner. Ugh, sprouts. They had a good time eating the every flavor beans. Harry got toast, coconut, baked beans, strawberry curry, grass, coffee, sardine, and even was brave enough to nibble the end off of a funny gray one. Ron wouldn't touch it, but it turned out to be pepper. All right. There's just a little bit more left, but I am going to wait and read it later because it's getting kind of long. So I hope you like that. Chapter 6. We are working our way through. Let's see. You see, we're that far through. I don't know. Is that a quarter of the way through? I don't think quite a third, but maybe a third. I think kind of the broken book makes it look further than it is. Anyways, we're working our way through. Good for us. I'll see you later.